Welcome back to another episode of the Symphony of Success podcast.
Today we are lucky enough and blessed to be able to have a conversation with Kym Douglas.
As you know, our podcast is about success and how they became successful, their roadblocks, failures, and why they failed. So let's dive right into it.
Yeah, talk to us about your early childhood, maybe high school a little bit.
Oh, wow. High school. Wow. So there was horse and buggies. Just kidding. No, I went to high school when it was normal time. And you know what? I really wanted to be popular. Do you guys, is that still?
It's relatable.
Yeah. Still, people want to be popular and there's like cliques and stuff. Is that still going on?
100%.
So I really wanted to be popular, and I do remember that I tried out for cheerleading 3 times, didn't make it. And here's the thing, I wanted it so bad that I think that's what propelled me and drove me to do what I'm doing now. Like, you know what, I'm gonna make it. And it was because I didn't get those things in high school. So I think you can always kind of flip the script, if you will. And if something doesn't work out for you, maybe down the line, there's a reason, and it's going to make you more anxious to get that.
Definitely.
Do you think you've always had the mindset to be a winner?
What a good question. I think I have not always believed in myself as much as I should, but I've always been really ambitious, which I think you 3 are right now. And I'll tell you how I know, because you arrived in suits and ties. You were very professional when you walked in. I have been on shows, literally network shows, that are less professional than you guys.
Wow.
Yeah, I really have.
Thank you.
And you know that's true. And I just think that I always tell my son Hunter, who's 27, to dress for the job he wants to get, not the job he's going in for.
That's great advice.
So when he came to Universal and he was applying to be a PA, which is a production assistant, it's basically like you get coffee.
Right.
That's all you do.
Wow.
You get coffee and you maybe clean the toilets. And he wore a suit and a tie and polished shoes.
Wow.
And everybody was laughing and they were like, oh my God, like Hunter's coming in a suit to be a PA. Guess what? He got the job.
Wow.
Yeah. And not that that's so great, but they saw his effort. And so I see that with you guys. So I'll make this kind of short. I'll tighten it up for you. But here's the deal. I was 12 years old, and I was in our little house. We had a house that was not a ranch, but a ranch style, very small house in Detroit, Detroit, Michigan.
Okay.
And I dated Eminem. Not really, but it's a good story. Oh, did you see how they lit
We'll
up?
get back to that.
Yes,
We'll
love
back
that.
to that, yeah.
All right, Wish. He actually lived on the bad side of the tracks. He lived on 8 Mile, and I wasn't allowed to go there because it was really sketchy.
Yeah.
So anyway, 12 years old, sitting in my little house. My dad was a carpenter because he wanted to be like Jesus, not lying. And my mother was a homemaker. And I'm sitting in the living room at the time, and we didn't have like Cartoon Network and all those channels.
Right.
We only had 3 networks, ABC, NBC, and CBS. So I'm sitting and I'm doing my homework and I'm watching TV, and all of a sudden this woman comes on the news that was kind of like my coloring, like blonde and fair, and it was a woman, and I was used to like the male anchor men, and I remember watching it and this weird kind of feeling coming into my body, and I turned to my mom, we had an archway, and she was in the kitchen stirring the stew, and I go, Mom, I want to do that when I grow up. And my mom looked at me, looked at the TV, and then she goes, well, then you will. And then she went right back to stirring the stew. And so what she should have said is, your dad's a carpenter, I'm a homemaker, we live in Detroit.
Yeah.
Your odds of being a network news reporter are slim to none. So get over yourself. You're probably going to work for one of the auto companies, and it's never going to happen. So just stop. And so from that day on, Jaden, and I see this so much in you, I laser focused on that's what I was going to do. At 16, the day I got my driver's license, I got my dad's car and I drove to our local TV station, and I said, I will clean the floors, I'll clean the toilets, and I'll get coffee, whatever you need, but I want to be a newscaster and I want to work here. And here's how God, I really do believe, works in all of our lives. So the woman that was there, that was the personnel director, I didn't even know what to ask for. The receptionist said, well, I said, I am here for a job and I'm 16 and I just learned to drive. And she said, well, we have a personnel director. Maybe I'll have her meet you. So the woman came out. I remember her name, Mrs. Peterson. And she looked at me and she kind of smiled like, 16, just learned to drive, not really going to hire her. And I told her my story. I saw the newscaster. I want to be in the news. And so she sat there for a minute. She said, you know, Kym, she said, what is your name? And at the time I was Kimberly because that's what my mom called me. She said, you know, Kimberly, I have a daughter at home and she's 12 years old and she can't walk. She's crippled from the waist down. And if she could walk, I would want her to walk in here right now and ask for a job like you. So I'm going to give you a job and I'm going to make you a tour guide around the station. And you show like senior citizens, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts around the station. And guess what that job did, you guys? I went around the news station every day and I saw the news director and he saw me. And so after a little bit of time, I went up to him and I said, you know what? I want to be Barbara Walters and I'm 16 and I'm here and I don't know how to do that. And he goes, okay, you come and see me all the time and I'll give you some. So cut to 4 years after high school. He goes, you go to this school, you get this degree, you make this tape and you come back. And if you all do all that, I'll give you a job. So I went to that school. I made
And which school was that?
It was, you're going to laugh, but it was a Christian school in Tulsa, Oklahoma called Oral Roberts University. Like nobody knows of that school.
Yeah.
But I went, I got my degree in journalism and I made my tape. And on Friday, I graduated. And Jaden and Roman, on Monday, I landed at his door at the news station. I said, here's my transcripts, here's my tape. You promised me when I was 16 that you'd give me a job. And he goes, you're right, you're hired.
Wow.
So
On the spot, he
Monday,
hired you.
On the spot?
I was hired as a per diem reporter, which means if anybody got sick, I got to do it.
Right.
And thank God people got sick.
Mm-hmm. How old were you at this time?
I was 21, just graduated.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
21.
amazing.
yeah. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Wow. I mean,
So-
there's so much to dive into. You want to circle back to the M&M? I'm sure people would want to hear
you
about that.
guys,
Yeah.
I unfortunately I never met him. He was, I think he's a little younger than me,
Yeah.
and he lived really in the bad side of the tracks.
Yeah, yeah.
And nobody went there, and it was dangerous. And like his his rise of Symphony of Success is truly incredible.
It's unheard of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But let's talk about your experience on the Ellen DeGeneres show. You want to show the picture?
Yeah.
We
So-
can move it over here.
Yeah. So this is just a fun thing that she had blown up for me. This is Ellen, if anybody ever watched the Ellen show, and me, and we are in a pair of underwear built for two. Don't ask. And that was just one of the crazy things that I did. But the Ellen show was an interesting scenario, and I'll take this down. I wrote this book called The Black Book of Hollywood Beauty Secrets a long time ago. And I had and just kind of for you and your viewers, just kind of, you never know what thing that you do that's going to lead you to your ultimate goal, you know? So I wrote this book. Was I going to be a big author? Probably not. But I wrote this book where I interviewed people about makeup tips that were affordable. And we had a book signing, and my friend who had worked on a show called Soap Talk had just gotten a job on a TV show called The Ellen Show. And everyone was like, Ellen, she's a 40-year-old white lesbian on daytime TV. Nobody's going to watch that show.
Wow.
They were wrong. And anyway, so he had started there. And my husband at the time, my late husband, was there, and he said he had watched a little bit of Ellen, and he said to the producer, Matt Wright, I think Kym would be great with Ellen. And the producer looked at my husband and said, you realize, like, she doesn't care about beauty or lipstick. That is not her.
Right.
Like, it's never going to happen. So just stop. And Jerry goes, no. Kym did Second City. She did improv. She's kind of, I think it would, no. Like, Ellen doesn't care. She's with celebrities. She doesn't want you. And Jerry kept going. So that was the book signing. Bye, see you, thank you, end of story. 2 days later, there's an announcement that Ellen DeGeneres is going to be the host of the first time of the Emmys. Was it the Emmys? Or no, the Oscars.
Yeah.
She was the Oscar. She was the Oscar host. And they had gone to the producers at the show, the executive producers, and they said, you know what, we think it'd be really funny if somebody tried to make Ellen into like one of the girls that come in their gowns and their hair and everything. And, you know, she dresses like she's in polo shirts and pants. So they go, wouldn't that be fun if we had like a beauty person on the Ellen show?
Wow.
Because she's hosting the Oscars. I went on for one episode and I was the most returning guest for 17 years.
That's amazing.
That's incredible. So how did you actually get to meet her in the first place?
They put me on the show.
They just put you on?
And she never, and by the way, you guys, I would have a table with like all these different things that we were going to talk about. She never rehearsed once.
Really?
Never rehearsed. Everything was improv off the top. She's a comedic genius. And she was always so kind and so nice to me. And I did one episode with her. And you know what? You just either click or you don't. You know what I mean? And it just clicked, and she just kept saying, let's have Kym back. Let's have Kym back. And
it's amazing. Are you still in touch with her right now?
all the time.
Wow.
She's up in Montecito now with Portia, and they're doing great.
And what's Ellen's personality like? Offset, of course.
Yeah,
when you're alone.
know, I would tell you this. I will say this because I want to, respect her privacy. She's very, very shy.
Really?
She's not like you two.
No one would expect that.
No.
No one.
Like the way you guys were like, hey, how are you, Kym? What's it? She's very shy, and I would say much more introverted.
Wow.
And then you put her in front of a, audience
She
and
comes out of her
jokes,
shell.
and she's just like,
Yeah.
She
lights
has like
up
a
the
whole
room.
different like persona. That's
Yeah.
insane.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So let's shift towards, talk to us about when you figured out you got diagnosed with cancer.
Okay.
I know this is a tough topic.
So, my life was pretty charmed. I had a really great husband. I had a wonderful son. I was on 2 TV shows, the Ellen DeGeneres Show and Hallmark Show with your mom, who was my famous makeup artist, Michelle. I won't say her last name, but anyway. I was doing 2 TV shows. Son, great, playing football. Husband, wonderful. Everything's really going good. And I'm just super busy, so I can't, go get a mammogram. So I waited 3 years, and I finally went. And here's the thing. I checked all the boxes. Like, I drank green juices. I didn't eat meat. I don't smoke. I never smoked. I barely drink. I work out. I keep like, every little checkbox that you can say, I did it.
Right.
And my mom was well in her elder years, never had cancer. My dad, everybody's good. We're all good. What could possibly go wrong? So I go in, I do the mammogram, and they're like, we see something, we'd like to have you back. I'm like, oh, okay. So I go back in, I'm like, oh, I'm really busy, really don't have time for this. So then they do a biopsy, and they tell me that I have stage 0 breast cancer. So when you hear that you have a disease, it's really shocking.
Yeah,
and
right.
again, I did everything right.
Yeah, especially now.
Shocked you
Yeah.
completely.
Like what? So I came back home, and I talked to my son Hunter and my husband about it, and we went through all of the scenarios, and they had said that they didn't think I should remove both my breasts. They thought I should just remove one that had the cancer in it. And I prayed about it, and I just really felt, you guys, like I should do the double mastectomy. So nobody thought that was the right thing to do, but I went with my gut. So again, for your audience, like really trusting your intuition and going with what you feel you and God want. So went in, did the surgery, stage 0. Pretty good. If you're going to have cancer, you want stage 0. Went in, they did the surgery, and at their very last portion of skin and tissue that they were going to take out, next to my heart, against my lungs, against the chest wall, they found 3 1.5 centimeter tumors. So I probably would have died of lung cancer and never smoked because the tumors were under all the tissue. So like your muscles, if you had something against your lungs, you couldn't see that on an MRI or an X-ray, you know. So they were like, so the 2 surgeons that were women were like, holy crap, like what just she went from stage 0 to stage 3 in one surgery.
Wow.
So I woke up and they said, we have bad news. We have good news and bad news. We got the cancer, but you went from 0 to 3. So you need to do chemo and radiation. So I did 18 and a half weeks of chemo. And just a little personal note, and you'll probably cut this out, but I went to the set every day, and I was a beauty reporter with no beauty. I had no hair, I had no eyebrows, I had no eyelashes. I was green, and I lost 17 pounds in like less than 3 months. And Jaden's mom would put me in her chair, and she would draw eyebrows on me and put eyelashes on me and fix my wig because it'd be all screwed up. And she got me through those really tough days.
It's so inspiring.
Yeah.
Did that affect your drive at all?
It didn't affect my drive as much as it flipped what was important to me.
Right.
I used to think it was all about the fluff, and then all the fluff got taken away. So then I realized that it was more about family, and it was more about relationships, and it was more about your faith to carry you through those times. And I have one little quick story that I'd love to share with
Of
you,
course.
if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Are we good?
Of course.
So it was toward the end of my last few chemos, and it was pretty bad. And I remember, again, tying into Symphony of Success, you get to a point in your life at whatever, whether you're gymnastics or football or baseball or whatever you are in your life, and if it all gets kind of stripped away, you're just like, wow, I don't really have an identity anymore. I'm not a gymnast, I'm not a baseball player, I'm not a makeup artist, whatever. And I was in a really bad place. I'd gone in my bedroom in the back, and I pulled the shades and shut the door and pulled the covers over my head, and I really just wasn't going to come back out again. And so I had a little bit of strength this one day, and I thought, you know what, I have to get out of this bedroom. So I walked down the hallway into the back of the property, and we live in a pretty busy area, Brentwood, a lot going on. But in the back, it's really quiet. There's a lot of greenery. So I went back there, and I just felt this weird, like somebody was almost moving me down this path. And I had never been down this path before. And it's in the back. I can take you guys there at the end. And it was a brick pathway, and it kept going. And so I just kept walking, and I still had a little bit of strength. And I went back there, and I saw all this greenery and all the trees and everything. And I looked up and I said, God, I've always believed in you. And I've always talked about you very freely on Ellen's show, on Hallmark, to all my friends. And right now, I don't know whether I'm going to live or die. Like I have stage 3B cancer. And I don't know if I'm going to make it or not. So I just need you to give me a sign, like that I'm going to make it. Because I have a husband that's older, and I have a 24-year-old son. And I need to know if I'm going to make it. And so I was looking up, you guys, and I said, just like send, a leaf or a butterfly that comes and lands on my shoulder, or how in the movies, like something
something magical,
the clouds part, a rainbow
Right.
appears, So I'm like, just can you send something like that? So I'm standing there, nothing. I'm like, okay, maybe you didn't hear me that well. So can you just give me one sign that I'm either going to make it or, not? And I'm standing back there. Absolutely, you guys, there wasn't a bird. You can hear, there's always something in LA, right? There's a bird, there's a leaf, there's a nothing. So I'm standing there and I go, wow. So I had believed in you all my life, and I talked about you to everybody. And when it really gets bad, you don't show up. Like, really? This is how it's going to end? Like, you don't show up? And I was so broken, and I had no more strength. And I'm standing there, bald, green, weak, and I just go, wow, I really messed up. Like, I believed in God, and He's not there. And I hung my head down. And when I hung my head down, my feet were standing solid on this old, big oak tree stump. And the roots went really deep into the ground. And the bricks had to stop. I had to stop myself. I didn't realize it, but the bricks couldn't cut this oak tree down.
Yeah.
And then there were stones and there was concrete and everything had to go around this because the foundation was so rich and so deep and so strong. And my feet were standing right in the middle. And it was like, I felt this jolt and I felt like God said, you know what, you're looking up at all this stuff, but it's your foundation.
Wow.
And I'm your foundation. I'm holding you up. I've been holding you this whole time and you're going to make it. And from that moment on, you guys, I walked up, I go down to my stump every day and I always stand there and thank God. And from that moment on, I took those next 3 chemos, like bring it on. I will take this and I will get through this. And I did the whole thing and your mom helped me through it. And I prayed that my hair would come back. This is all my own hair.
Wow.
I was bald. I was,
beautiful.
you know, my hair came back, my eyelashes came back. And I just had this new, renewed sense of what's important. What's your foundation? What are you standing on? What are you standing for?
Yeah.
What makes you who you are?
What a beautiful story. And did you grow up religious, right? Because your dad wanted to be just like Jesus the carpenter.
Did, yeah.
And did you always believe when you were a kid?
I did.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it was really, you know, I think when you grow up with a faith, whatever that faith is, I think it really does give you that strength when the fork in the road comes, and it always does. You know, drugs or not drugs, drinking, getting drunk all the time and blacked out or not, whatever it is, you know, you always have a choice.
What was your biggest failure in your life?
Not being a cheerleader, just kidding. Let's see, my biggest failure. I think, Jaden, it's like not believing enough in myself that I had that drive to be that Barbara Walters or that newscaster, but I kind of felt like, well, I'll just stay on E. I won't go for that bigger. I didn't really trust enough that I could be more.
Wow.
And that held me back.
So you're saying believing in yourself more
More.
helped propel you?
Yeah, like, you know, why not me?
Yeah.
Somebody else is going to get the job. Why not you?
Right. So, what other major obstacles and challenges did you go through in your life?
This is interesting. So we live now, you guys, in an environment where, you know, you get canceled if you say, oh,
Say the
blue
wrong
eyes
thing,
are
offensive.
wild.
Yeah.
Oh, you offended me.
Yeah.
You're canceled. Oh, brunettes are really, you know, funny. Oh, you're canceled. Whatever it is. So I grew up, and I think one of the big obstacles was I had a funky voice and I was petite and I had really blonde hair. And so they always was like, oh, she's the dumb blonde. Oh, she's never going to really, you know, she's ding dong blonde. And, you know, again, we talked about this, but I flipped the script on that. And I was like, how great. Like, they don't think I can do it. So guess what? I'm going to graduate before all of them. And I'm going to get a job on the news station that they all watch because they all think I'm this blonde ding dong. So I used it in my favor because people underestimated me. And I could flip that.
And you know what's interesting? Like, Jaden and I know a lot of people who, if you would doubt them, they're going to get really upset about it. And they're going to take it personally, and they're not going to actually show you that they can do what others are saying they can't.
Yeah.
The best revenge is winning.
Yeah, I've never actually heard someone in real life to me say that when someone doubts you or goes against you, you say, you know what, that's wrong. I'm going to show you.
Yeah, it almost propelled me.
Yeah.
So I almost felt like, you know, you underestimating me gave me that little advantage to be like, well, I'll just do this, you know?
Were your parents really disciplined?
Interesting. So my mom, and we tease about this, my mom was Miss Scotland 150 years ago. Like when there wasn't even...
Are you serious?
Yeah, like when there wasn't even pageant. It wasn't 150. But my mom's like 90, God rest her soul. She passed away. But, you know, there were like 3 people in the pageant. So it wasn't... But anyway, she still was a beautiful woman. And here's the thing with her. I think she always wanted to be more, like she had been Miss Scotland and she was from a small town. And so she lived through me. So like I had to be all those other things that she did. So it was a little bit hard because I had to live my life and hers.
Wow.
Right.
And that was a little hard. But I had great parents. They were really very religious. I was raised Christian. We went to church every Sunday. My dad was a carpenter. And my mom, you know, she made me like her life. So much like I don't know your mom, but she sounds wonderful. She wrote a book, and I know your mom very well. And you know, I was her life, and I always felt loved. And I think that's the thing. It doesn't matter how much you have or don't have or whatever, but if you feel that love, I think you can do anything.
Can we go back to when you were going to work on chemo with no hairs, eyebrows, you were green? What made you want to go to work?
Great question. And I didn't want cancer to win.
Wow.
I just didn't want, I felt like you took my hair, you took my energy, you took my health. I wasn't healthy. I was sick from chemo and radiation. And I was like, I don't want you to win. I'm going to win. And my God is bigger than this disease. So I'm going to show up. And funny enough, and I've never said this on any other show, but I will say this right now. When I was on Hallmark, which was a very happy, you know, this is about happiness and everybody, you always get the girl at the end of the movie. You always, you know, and they said, when I told them, because I had to share, and they said, you know, we'd really rather you not talk about that. Oh no, we're not like cancer, it's not. And it was really, really hard for me. And then here's a funny twist, again, flipping things. So they were like, we don't really want you to talk about cancer. And I kind of get it. You know, we're talking about Easter and Christmas and then, oh, and here's Kym, she has cancer. Wah, wah. So it was not really, but then I went to Ellen's show and Ellen said, I want you on and I want you not doing anything but talking to me one-on-one about your cancer.
Speaks a lot about her character.
It does. And she had me on and she presented me with a $50,000 check for cancer research.
Wow.
And guess what? The ratings on that went crazy.
Skyrocketed, yeah.
And guess what happened 2 days later?
What?
Hi, this is Hallmark. Is Kym there? Yeah. We'd love you to come on the show. And instead of doing your beauty segment, can we have you talk about your cancer?
How did that make you feel emotionally?
Good. Because I was like, you know what? They learned.
Powerful.
And that should inspire anyone to go against their depression, to go against their sadness, to do what they believe in. It's a beautiful story.
Yeah, because it helped people. And you know, Ellen was about funny too.
Mm-hmm.
Bringing cancer onto Ellen. I mean, people dance at the beginning and they, you know. Yeah. So it was really great to have her just open that up and be like, no, bad things happen sometimes, but we're going to deal with it and I'm here for you.
I mean, your story is so inspiring to so many people.
Well, you guys are so inspiring.
Thank you.
What advice would you give to people that just got the diagnosis of cancer? And how would you advise them to go about that news?
Yeah, so first off, I would say bless you, because you need a lot of blessings in your life. You know, what I would say, Jaden and Roman, is this. I think it is so much your mental stability going through this disease. So whether it's, you know, you don't get into the college that you're applying for, you don't make the team that you've tried out for, you don't get the job. I know my son Hunter's looking to get back here and a job fell through for him. I think it's so much about your mental stability and your mental strength. And that is that I just, from that moment on my stump, I believed that God had healed me and I was going to make it through. Mm-hmm. And there was nothing that was going to make me not believe that. Absolutely nothing. I felt the jolt. I looked, my feet were right on this. I'm on this flippin' oak tree that's in the middle of nowhere. And I know that I know that I know that I'm going to make it through. And so I think that there's also something, a new study that I just researched, and it said that people that live the longest, you know, the blue zones, like they eat certain food and they drink red wine and they exercise 10,000 steps a day. Do you know what the number one thing is? That they have 5 people in their life, 5, doesn't matter who they are, the barista at Starbucks, the mailman, the, you know, friend from you were 3 years old, 5 people in their life that they interact with, that encourage them, that lift them up, and that are a positive influence. Mm-hmm. And to a question from your cameraman, I had I had girlfriends that circled the wagon, if you know what that means. They literally circled the wagons around me, and they were like, You're going to make it. You've got this. Oh my gosh, we're there. You've never looked back. Hey, you lost 10 pounds. What's so bad about, and we just kept it. We weren't like a bunch of, I wouldn't give into it.
Well, it sounds like you've stayed positive even, through your battle with cancer. Were there any times where you felt like you were in like a slump or you wanted to give up?
Are you kidding? Like, literally. And also, he had asked a question about every day,
support system.
And every day, like, how do you get up every day and you go, I'm going to win, I'm going to make it. I self-doubt all the time. I really do. And I just have to believe that we all are in God's plan and that he has a plan for our life. And, there is another study, you guys, that there's two things that we tend to all as human beings go through in life. We have fear or faith. Or actually, it's fear and gratitude. And did you know that when you have gratitude going on in your head, like, I'm well, I'm really healthy right now, and I have a very blessed life. I have a great family. I'm breathing great air. I live in California. When I have gratitude going on in my brain, that fear cannot exist. Our brains can't compute fear and gratitude at the same time. So I really do. It sounds so cliche, and who do I think I am, Oprah? But I mean, I really do write these little gratitude journals. Like, God, I'm really grateful for my health, my friends, my family, that you got me this call that came in today, that Jaden and Roman came over and wanted to interview me. Like, truly, I really think of how grateful I am. And then the fear of, you're a loser. Oh my gosh, you're never going to get that. Oh, there's so many other girls your age. It just goes away.
Right.
So you're saying just have the sheer willingness to bypass your circumstances no matter the cards you were dealt?
Yes, or use those cards that you were dealt to propel you. Like, I love your story about being this incredible gymnast that's on his way to the Olympics, and that you had a flip, and how that can, but look at you now, look what you're doing now. I mean, and I'm sure in your life, Roman, you had some things, some struggles or some upsets. And look at you two, you're doing this podcast in high school, and you're interviewing Rick Dees and so many others. It's great.
Shout out Rick Dees.
What is it? Disco Duck. Love
Disco
it.
Duck. It's going to be number 1 again.
Love it.
Yeah.
And you know what? Right there, promoting others.
Yeah.
Speaking of promoting.
Yeah. I have a soda, you guys, but I don't even know if it's out anymore. It's at, what is that, this store where they have all like the 50s candy from the 50s. Can't even remember where it is. But I did have my own soda for one time.
Wow.
Books.
Let's talk about the process that goes into and the mental strength you need to write a book. What inspired you to do that?
Yeah, so the literary agent who had done my other books that were like beauty related books, and they were always me doing what you two do, interviewing other people, Beyonce, J-Lo, different women about their beauty secrets that were affordable. And so I said, oh great, I can totally do a book, no big deal. You want like over 50 beauty secrets? Do you want, secrets for moms or what? She goes, no, I don't want anything to do with beauty. She goes, what's selling right now in our climate, in our country and globally, is faith. People need faith. They are, do you know that according to, I'm part of this coalition called Faith in Media, and that they did a Gallup poll, and that young people in your generation, that 82% of them were polled and said that loneliness, isolation, and depression were 3 of their biggest, like what they're feeling the most. 82%.
We see that in our school.
100%.
It's sad.
That is frightening. So all the more reason that we do need to do things like this, like about success and about positivity and about friendships and about faith, to have those pillars in your life.
I think it all stems from a lack of purpose. There's a quote by, I think it's Aristotle, that says a man without a purpose is no man. So without a purpose, you're kind of like a leaf blowing in the wind.
Indeed, absolutely.
And I think faith brings people that purpose.
I think so too.
And I mean, a lot of people expect to, start work, and then get to a goal, but no one really, or at least themselves don't really see the process, even if you're not exactly where you want to be, you look back and you realize how far you've come.
Of course.
Enjoy the journey.
Even if you're 10% of the way there, you're not 0%.
No, that's so true. And again, that's a way of looking at the gratitude
100%.
rather than the like I could have said, I'm a page in Detroit at a local station getting coffee for Girl Scouts.
Yeah.
Like, I'm never going to make it. But that led to that, and then the book led to Ellen, and then Ellen,
You took the first step. That's what's the most important part.
Are you a believer in manifestation?
I am a believer in manifestation, whether it's vision boards.
Yes, vision boards, all that.
Prayer, speaking it. I think your words, you guys, are so important. And I learned this definitely through, not to always bring this up, but through cancer. Do you know that even to this day, when people say, your cancer, I'm like, oh, no, the cancer. Yeah. It's not mine. I don't want that. You take that out there. It's not my cancer.
And words and phrases...
They have power.
They can be speaking into existence.
100%. And I read something about how our words, when you have to spell them out, like D-O-G, you spell out D-O-G, dog, that it's a spell.
Oh, yeah. Words and phrases,
that you put,
they cast spells. That's why they call it spelling.
That's right.
Yeah.
So when I remember, you guys, when Hunter, who's 6'1", and played football and all that, and it's a miracle that I had him because I'm 5'2". Anyway, and I remember when he was a little boy, and I would sit with him, and I would say to him, when he was a baby, like, you're a strong boy, you're a smart boy, and I would just literally feed into his soul these positive words, because he was really sick. He was born very, very early, 8.5 weeks early, and they said he would have hearing problems and some mobility issues, and not at all. No.
My brother was also born early.
Really?
Shout out Hudson.
And Harlow.
Yes. Yeah. But that's amazing. Let's dive more into some more inspirational kind of stories you can tell our viewers.
See.
Do you have like a mantra?
Yeah.
Mantra, that's really good. I don't, and that's kind of interesting. Why don't I? Now you just
now you need to get one.
Now I need to get one.
Next episode.
I guess a mantra could also be like, you wake up, you have your routine, and then you go and pray at this place.
Oh, I do.
Then I guess that's your mantra.
Do you have a morning routine?
I do. The minute I open my eyes, just the minute, the first thing I say is, God, just protect Hunter, because he lives in New York. Yeah. He's my only child, and he goes on the subway. And I don't know if you guys have been on the subway, but it's
sketchy sometimes. Yeah.
And he did tell me this, you guys, and this will be interesting for you guys to relate to. So he's like a California boy, he went to like Oaks Christian or Crespi, cool schools like that. And, I hate to say it, but you guys live a little bit in a bubble, kind of,
We do, yeah.
So he's on the subway, with this little briefcase or whatever, and he's trying to be a big boy. And he's just standing there minding his own business. And all of a sudden, a homeless guy comes on that most likely was on meth or fentanyl and just goes, so I'm going to kill you, whatever he's saying, and he's right in his face, totally crazy, like lost it. For no reason.
Wow.
And so Hunter, never having experienced this in Brentwood, he just stayed focused, and the guy just yelled at him, I hate you, you're evil, I'm going to kill you, you're whatever he was saying. And Hunter just stayed and just very calmly just looked at him, not smiling, not mean, just looked at him. And you know what? The guy just stopped.
Wow.
And he said, my heart was pounding out of my body, Mom. Like literally, you guys, he could have so easily just in 1 second. But you know what? It also made him stronger and made him experience something that you can't experience
that's a real thing.
Yeah. So every morning, to get back to your story, every morning the first thing I say is, God, protect Hunter on the subway, and just put a bubble around him. And then I always make a list, my to-do list of what to do, and then I go out to my stump.
Wow. Do you have any advice for maybe new mothers wanting to raise as great of a kid as you've raised?
That's so sweet. So here's the thing. I really believe that Hunter was hardwired the way he is. I don't think...
Because your brain is like a computer system. Yeah.
He's a really kind boy, and he's like you three. Yeah. He's just very... personable. He looks people in the eye when he's talking to them. He'll dress up for people out of respect. Like what you guys did when you came to my home today is you showed me respect by what you wore and by your attitude and by the way you were. And I'm just going to cry because when we started, the three of you were so open to prayer. And I just think that's so wonderful. I think we can look at our new generation, and when you see all the negative things, you three are such a great example of what young men your age are going to do. And I don't worry about this country, because if we have young men like you, we're going to be okay.
All right, so on our podcast, for our last question, we ask, what is your symphony of success?
What does success mean to you?
Yeah.
So interestingly enough, success changed a lot for me from when I was that little girl at 12. Success to me was going to be me being Barbara Walters, you know. And then as I grew, it changed. It was, I wanted to get married and have a really good family and a wonderful husband, and I got that, and that was that success. But after going through the things that we shared today and talked about cancer and the loss of so many things in my life, I think the symphony of success for me is my son and being a good mom. And I just love him so much, and being a good example for him. So everything that I do, I want to reflect to him that, for him to be proud of me. And then family and really good friends. I really, really mean that. But also doing what you guys are doing, and that is having a platform and using it for good. Like if you have this platform and you're just talking about, in my case, pink lipstick is really good in the summer and orange is really good in the fall. Like, really? Is that really what I want to leave in this world, And there's nothing wrong with lipstick and looking pretty and beauty, but I just want to use my platform for a little more valuable, like you guys are doing. So you guys are a great example of symphony of success.
Hopefully this podcast, everyone could see the true you and, your actual values and everything you've really been through.
Kym, I was blessed to have you on the show.
Thank you so much.
Great.
Awesome.
Thank everyone for watching.
Thank you very much.